Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome Monday, May the 29th, 2023. Happy Memorial Day. And let me first start off by saying thank you all so much to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to allow us to do things like go live today and talk South Carolina Gamecocks and talk sports in general. So happy Memorial Day to you all, and say thank you to a veteran today for again making that ultimate sacrifice. Let's make sure we remember why Memorial Day is what it is. But again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We are live here on this Monday, May the 29th, on the Daily Crow. And I appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, no matter where you are, what you are doing. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you're enjoying your day off if you do have it. And if you're tuning in, spending the time with us, thank you all so much for doing so. I see Trevor Boyd, Justin Langford, C. Youngblood, Andrew, Brian, GA, John Edward, DGD. What's going on? Also, those in the Big Cock Club Discord. Head over to the TDC Questions channel, the TDC Questions channel, to be sure your questions are answered there. Of course, guys, we are getting going 30 minutes later than normal because we were just tuned in, actually, in the Big Cock Club Discord to the selection show for the field of 64 for college baseball. Of course, guys, the Gamecocks are a regional host. We dropped the podcast and went live last night on the Rowdy Rooster Rundown talking about that. But now we know who is in the Columbia Regional and who the Gamecocks will play if they are to advance, or at least what regional they are paired with if they do advance to the super regional round. So, guys, again, we got a lot to get into, a very busy show, exciting stuff, of course, guys, in hour number 3. So, of course, that'll take place 2:30 to 3:30. We will take all of your questions, your comments, your calls. Guys, in the meantime, of course, if you cannot call in during that time, be sure, give us a ring, 843-790-3377. You can leave us a voicemail with your thoughts, your reactions. How are you feeling about the Gamecocks Regional, them being paired with the Gainesville Regional, if you will? How are you feeling about the Gamecocks, the Yardcocks postseason chances? Hey, shoot us a text, leave us a voicemail, let us know how you feel. We'd love to hear from you guys. Also, we've got Mark Rogers upcoming, the voice of college football. He will join the show at 1:15. 1:15, Mark Rogers will join us. So we're sticking with the same time that we normally have Mark Rogers. So we're going to shuffle some things around just a little bit in regards to the show. We might even have some bonus time when it comes to Q&A, because we'll finish up that conversation about 1:45 or so. That'll give us about an hour and a half or so to take questions, comments, calls. We just might do that. We shall see. But either way, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. A lot to get into. You guys keep the questions coming in the YouTube chat. By the way, I want to be sure we get to those. Really quickly, guys, before we dive into everything, just a couple of quick housekeeping items and a couple of quick content updates in case you missed anything last night. So, podcast and the Daily Crow, everything is as normal this week. We are rocking. We are rolling, of course. 30-minute late start today because of the selection show. With the rest of the week, we are live noon to 3 with all of our normally scheduled guests. Also, really excited. This Friday begins. Every Friday, he'll join us beginning this Friday. Jake Crane of Crane and Company, my good friend Jake Crane, he will join the show every Friday, beginning Friday, June the 2nd, a.k.a. this Friday. So, again, really excited for that. I know you guys love the conversations with Jake Crane and all that he brings to the show. So, again, guys, hey, thank you all so much. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Looking forward to a great week. And thank you all, as always, for rolling with the punches. Obviously, no show on Friday due to getting knocked out of the SEC tournament. Also, we were on the road on Friday. So, again, thank you all for being flexible. Really, really excited to chat with you all today because, again, we have got a lot to get into, a lot to dissect, a lot to discuss. And without further ado, let's rock and roll. The Columbia Regional is officially set. South Carolina is the 15 seed in the field of 64. Of course, guys, in case you missed it, you've been living under a rock or you somehow just were not aware, there will be postseason baseball played at Founders Park this weekend. The Gamecocks hosting a regional at Founders Park Again, the Gamecocks at 39-19 are the 15 seed. They found out today who is in their regional. And we'll go down this list. Central Connecticut State at 36-12. NC State at 35-19. And the Campbell Camels at 44-13. And guys, my initial reactions, it's a heck of a draw. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a heck of a draw. This is a high-quality regional. You first start with Central Connecticut State. And, guys, we'll do more of a deep dive, in-depth analysis of all these teams all throughout this week, by the way, so do not worry. But, again, Central Connecticut State, the Blue Devils, who went 36-12 this season, 25-5 in their conference. They were 15-6 at home, 15-4 away, and 6-2 at neutral sites. They had 54 home runs of the year, had a .472 slugging percentage, a .395 on base percentage, and they hit .302 this season. Now, what conference is Central Connecticut State in? They are in the Northeast Conference, and most certainly they will be your 4 seed in the Columbia region. So what that means is the Gamecocks will play the Blue Devils in their first game of the regional. Now, who is the 2? Who is the 3? I believe that Campbell will be the 2 seed in this regional, which would make the NC State Wolfpack your 3 seed. When you look at NC State, 35-19, as I mentioned on the season, 13-16 in conference play. So NC State was one of those bubble teams who was sort of awaiting their fate going into the postseason. Their struggles have been on the road mainly. 26-7 at home, 7-11 on the road, and 2-1 in neutral sites. So you wonder how being away from Raleigh, North Carolina, being away from Doak Field at Dale Park, you wonder how that's going to affect the Wolfpack. When you take a look at them, beat Coastal Carolina earlier in the year. Like I mentioned, 13-16 in conference. So, struggled a bit down the stretch. Got swept by the Clemson Tigers April 21st to 23rd. Of course, we all saw that Clemson is the number 4 overall national seed. Most notably, again, down the stretch, beat Duke in the ACC tournament and then lost to Miami in their second game by a score of 4-2. Swept Pittsburgh at the end of the season. We're a very, very inconsistent bunch, though. Got swept by North Carolina the weekend before and then swept Pittsburgh to close out the year. But again, NC State, a really, really dangerous team, guys. And like I said, we'll do full in-depth breakdowns and analysis of these ball clubs, but they hit .297 this year and a .437 ERA. And then I think the team, guys, that is going to be the talk of the regional from the sense of many were projecting the Campbell Camels to be a regional host this postseason. Teams like South Carolina and Auburn were chosen instead. And we talked about this last night. Why? I think the committee showed you they value RPI, they value strength of schedule, but I think you would be naive to think that the SEC logo and South Carolina's brand as a college baseball blue blood did not have a ton to play into this. And so Campbell will come into this regional with a chip on their shoulder because they feel like they should be hosting. They feel like they should be hosting a regional. Now, I also think what hurt the Camels' pitch was that they don't even have a field that can host a regional. They were going to have to take this thing to a minor league ballpark. But Campbell, a team coming in, 44-13, 22-5 in their conference. They were 20-4 at home, 20-9 away, and 4-0 at neutral sites. And there'll be a lot of people, not just from the SEC perspective, or of course, the Gamecock perspective, but I think this one's going to be a regional, guys, that gets a lot of national attention because you think about the storylines, and like I said, we'll break it all down later this week more in depth, but you think about the storylines that jump out. You've got a South Carolina team that was at one point thought as a no-brainer to be a top 8 national seed, right? At one point, you could argue they should have been the number 1 national seed. They crumble down the stretch and just cling to that 15 seed, cling to earning the right to be a regional host. You then look at Campbell, who, again, they have the resume of a regional host. They absolutely do. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at this regional and saying, who's for real? Who's legitimate? Is it the Gamecocks, who we saw and we know when they play their best is one of the best teams in all of college baseball? Or will Campbell come into this one and prove, you know what? You screwed us over. We should have been a regional host. There's absolutely no reason why. Even though they're SEC, we play good baseball too, right? Do I expect Central Connecticut State to make much noise? Again, you guys will get my full predictions down the stretch, but realistically, the 4 seed going to be tough for them. And then NC State, sort of that wild card. Like we mentioned, below 500 ACC team, but we know they've got talent. That's a really, really proud program there in Raleigh as well. So Campbell, again, 44-13, 22-5 in their conference. And you look at their schedule, you know, the series that really stand out to you are games that stand out. You know, they lost a midweek at Duke, lost a midweek at William and Mary, won a midweek at against East Carolina, lost a midweek at Coastal, swept Winthrop. Most recently in the Big South Championship, they beat Gardner-Webb and USC Upstate twice to win the Big South. Lost 2 of 3 down the stretch to USC Upstate and won the third game in 12 innings, 12-9. Beat East Carolina at their place 14-13. Again, this is most notably recently. Beat UNC Wilmington May the 9th, 24-5. Swept UNC Asheville, beat UNC at UNC. So again, some notable matchups or some notable results there. But Campbell, feeling like they got hosed, right? Feeling like they deserve to host. They'll get the opportunity to prove that now in the Columbia Regional. Now, when you look at the layout, the field of 64, Gamecocks are paired up with the Florida Regional. So if South Carolina is to win their regional, the Columbia Regional winner will take on the Gainesville Regional winner. So it could be, if both number ones take care of their business, number 1 seeds in their respective regionals, it could be a scenario, and it will be a scenario in which the Gamecocks will get a rematch with the Florida Gators in Gainesville. In the Gainesville Regional, it's Florida, Florida A&M, Texas Tech, and UConn. So it's no shoe-in, right? We've seen Florida have their struggles. We've most certainly seen Kevin O'Sullivan teams have their struggles in regional play, in the regional round, and so certainly that'll be an area of focus for them. But, you know, what a matchup that would be, getting South Carolina and Florida yet again. But I'll say this, as you look again at the Columbia Regional, Gamecocks, Central Connecticut State, NC State, and Campbell. Guys, there's going to be an SEC team or two that does not advance out of the regional round. The big goal for the Gamecocks is to not be that team. I think overall the draw is fair. I think overall the draw is manageable, especially when you look at some others. Heck, Clemson got Tennessee in their regional. So I think the draw is very fair, and this is why we love college baseball and we love this time of year, because this postseason, I mean, anything can truly happen, and a new season begins on Friday. As I mentioned, we'll talk later in the week, keys for South Carolina, top storylines. But I think all in all, you're a fan of the Yardcocks. I think you like the regional. It's a great opportunity for the Gamecocks. I think it actually is a positive that you've got this quality competition. I mean, you know you're going to get it in your 2 and 3 seeds, what have you, and sometimes even your 4. But to have teams like NC State, like Campbell, if you're able to come out of that, if you're able to weather the storm and, you know, advance to that super regional round, you're going to be rolling with a ton of confidence. So all in all, you know, I think South Carolina, we talked about this last night, but, you know, number one, you ought to be grateful you're hosting. I mean, that's the first thing. And your strength of schedule, RPI, and what you did in the first 40 games, that is what spoke to the committee. It'll be really interesting to see, and I know we all hope, I hope as a college baseball fan, we get that South Carolina and Campbell matchup, and that Campbell-NC State matchup is going to be a lot of fun. Guys, by the way, we will stream every single game of the Columbia Regional and more college baseball, by the way, but every game of the Columbia Regional, we will stream it in the Big Cock Club Discord. So if you're wondering how you're going to watch these games, Every single game aired on ESPN Plus. If you do not have ESPN Plus and you want to watch these games, guess what you can do? Instead of paying the $9.99 for ESPN Plus, you could just pay the $9.99 to the Big Cock Club, join the Discord, and we'll be streaming all of the baseball. So patreon.com/Big Cock Club. But again, guys, South Carolina, the 15 seed in the Columbia Regional, the 15 overall seed in the field of 64. It's South Carolina, Central Connecticut State, which is who the Gamecocks will take on in their first game on Friday night. NC State and Campbell, who will play earlier in the day on Friday. So a really, really solid regional. Going to be a lot of fun all weekend long. And we will see how the Gamecocks fare. And again, you are paired up with that Gainesville regional. The Gainesville regional. Guys, in the meantime, let's check, by the way. I'm not sure if the entire field of 64 is out yet. Just keeping up with this. Here we go. The bracket is officially set. The bracket is officially set. We'll get this posted on social media, but it looks like South Carolina, as you look again, paired up with the Gainesville Regional. If the Gamecocks are able to get through that and get to Omaha, the only way, by the way, many of you probably are asking, the only way that South Carolina and Clemson can meet up is indeed in Omaha. So we will not see a South Carolina Clemson Super or anything like that. It has to be in Omaha. That is the only way these two teams will get a rematch. But again, guys, really excited. The field of 64 is jam-packed. And when you think about, again, the significance of the Columbia Regional and Campbell not being a host, feeling like they should be a host, I think that's going to bring in a really, really interesting dynamic. And I think for South Carolina, you've got to think of this as, okay, your new season begins. What happened, happened. What happened in the last 4 weeks or so, 4+ weeks, it's over and it's done with. And the number one goal, the number one emphasis right now for South Carolina should be, let's get healthy. Let's get back to playing good baseball. Hey, you've had some extra rest. You haven't played a game since Thursday. You're not going to play a game until Friday. This team should be ready, should be primed to play their best baseball beginning on Friday. So Campbell, the 2 seed, NC State, the 3 seed, and Central Connecticut State is your 4 seed, as South Carolina, as the 15 seed in the field of 64, will host postseason baseball at Founders Park yet again. Should be a lot of fun. Founders will be jumping all week. And I know, and guys, like I said, if you cannot make it out to Founders Park, you want to watch the game with yours truly, watch the game with us, you can do so. We'll be streaming every single game of the Columbia Regional and more because we love college baseball. We'll have all the college baseball on. We will have it on in the Big Cock Club Discord. Join us today, patreon.com/Big Cock Club. That's patreon.com/Big Cock Club. And cannot wait to see how this thing plays out this weekend at Founders Park. Guys, we're about to jump into a quick break. Let's see. Just want to take some of your, what do we got in the Big Cock Club Discord here? Again, the field of 64 has officially been released. John Cohen, who is on the committee, by the way, here's this. John Cohen said the Gamecocks baseball hosted because of the full body of work and 8 wins against top 8 national seeds. So there you have it. There you have it. We talked about RPI, strength of schedule. Why did the Gamecocks get a host? 8 wins against top 8 national seeds. You also think about who South Carolina, as bad, as poorly as they played, down the stretch. Who did they lose to? Auburn, who's the 16 seed. Arkansas, who's a top 8 national seed. Tennessee, who's a postseason team. And Kentucky, who's the number 12, I believe. Number 12 seed, I believe. Either 12 or 13. Either way, you think about who the Gamecocks played, that factored in. Also, like we mentioned, that SEC logo, man, it makes a difference. That being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into our first break of the day. On the other side, we'll keep the conversation going here on a busy Monday. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood Subscription Box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back taking your questions, your comments, and your calls. We're actually going to go ahead and take some questions up until Mark Rogers' conversation at 1:15. I do have something else I want to discuss in regards to a topic for today's show, and that is we'll be ranking the 2023 football schedule from easiest to toughest games. Which opponents are the most easy to deal with, and which ones are the most difficult? We'll have that and more later in the show. But again, we got Mark Rogers coming on at 1:15. I did not want to rush this, so I will dive into some of your questions here. Over the next 15 minutes or so. Your reactions, by the way, to everything taking place. And how are you feeling? South Carolina getting Central Connecticut State, Campbell, and NC State in the regional. Let's dive into it. GA just says, woo! All right, I hear you. Hey, I feel the same way. Answer the textbook. Campbell is coming. Campbell is coming indeed, my friend. Campbell is going to get the smoke they asked for. That is the truth. Trevor Boyd says, my Wolfpack are going to take the Columbia region. How about an NC State fan? Chiming in here on this beautiful Monday? Travis says, what up, Chris and TDC? Tough regional that we have. Indeed. Justin Langford, Clemson has Rocky Top in their regional. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. Clemson's got a tough regional. There's no question. They got a really, really tough regional for sure. Let's see. Trevor, they also have Charlotte. Yeah, we know very well about the Charlotte 49ers, and they're a good ball club. There's no question about it. Airting Irie with the Spurs up symbol. Indeed. Brandon Kuhn says, Campbell is good. The highest scoring team in the nation. No doubt. Hey, they're a good ball club, and there's a reason why so many wanted them and thought they deserved, I should say, to be a regional host. So that's a good ball club. It'll be a great matchup. And we'll break down the matchup. We'll break down them and every other team much, much more throughout the weekend. Trevor Boyd says the Wolfpack are coming. Justin Langford will be healthy for the regional because if we win, more than likely we'll see Florida in the Supers. Per Mark Kingston, I believe that Braylon Wimmer is expected to make his return to shortstop by Friday. So he's going to be starting at shortstop per Mark Kingston on Friday. I think the big one that you're waiting on is Cole Messina. Will Cole Messina be ready to go on Friday? That's the big question. That's the big one, right? That's the big one. Let's see. The bracket, guys, again, has officially been released. How about Arkansas getting TCU, Arizona, and Santa Clara down in the Fayetteville Regional? I say we could just go ahead and react to all of these. Let's see. The last four in, by the way, were Arizona, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Troy. So, here we go. Each regional. You've got the let's just go to the full bracket. Here we go. You've got the Wake Forest Regional with Maryland, Northeastern, and George Mason. You got the Alabama Regional with Boston College, Troy, and Nichols. The Miami Regional featuring Texas, Louisiana, and Maine. The Stanford Regional featuring Texas A&M, Cal State Fullerton, and San Jose State. The LSU Regional featuring Oregon State, Sam Houston, and Tulane. The Kentucky Regional featuring West Virginia, Indiana, and Ball State. The Auburn Regional featuring Southern Miss, Samford, and Penn. The Clemson Regional featuring Tennessee, Charlotte, and Lipscomb. That is the left side of the bracket. On the other side, you've got the Florida Regional featuring UConn, Texas Tech, and Florida A&M. You've got the South Carolina Regional featuring Campbell, NC State, and Central Connecticut State. You've got the Coastal Carolina Regional, 3 regionals, guys, in the state of South Carolina. The Coastal Carolina Regional featuring Duke, UNC Wilmington, and Rider. I think that one sets up pretty well for Coastal, honestly. Duke is a tough team. UNCW stingy as well, but I like Coastal in that one. The Virginia Regional featuring East Carolina, Oklahoma, and Army West Point. East Carolina going to Charlottesville. That'll be a fun matchup. The Vanderbilt Regional featuring Oregon, Xavier and Eastern Illinois. The Oklahoma State Regional featuring Dallas Baptist, Washington, and Oral Roberts. The Indiana State Regional featuring Iowa, North Carolina as the 3 seed, and Wright State. And finally, the Arkansas Regional featuring TCU, Arizona, and Santa Clara. So that is your full field of 64, with, again, the last 4 in being Arizona, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Troy. Guys, I will fill out a bracket completely. And I'm not sure if there's a bracket game anywhere. I would highly doubt it, but I will probably do the old school way. I'll print this bracket out. Off first glance, guys, I'll say this. I think LSU not being the number 1 overall national seed, I think it sets up beautifully for them. I think LSU still, with Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, I think they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in college baseball. I think Oregon State poses a threat. Other teams that stand out, Arkansas, I like them in theirs. I think South Carolina's got a good shot. Again, them and Campbell will be interesting. We'll have full predictions later in the week. But here's the fun thing. You look at this bracket, and this has turned into a bracket conversation all of a sudden. But you look at this bracket and you know that upsets are going to happen. It's college baseball. Not every number 1 seed is going to win their regional. So I look at it. I mean, dude, I could see Maryland taking down Wake Forest to open things up and kick it off in style. I could most certainly see Boston College beating Alabama. And coming out of the Tuscaloosa regional. Boston College, a team that they were fighting. They thought they should have been a regional host as well. How cool would that have been? Postseason baseball in Boston, right? Texas as a 2 in Miami is really intriguing. I think that Texas A&M going to Stanford, what a matchup that is. Aggies all of a sudden with Schloss have gotten really, really hot of late, right? I know I'm basically going through every single regional, but Auburn's got Southern Miss. That's a tricky team. Sneaky good. How about Penn? That might be the best 4 seed in the entire tournament. We've seen Penn. That's a really high-quality Ivy League club, right? Tennessee is a 2 in the Clemson Regional. Need I say more? We all know about the Volunteers, and I think Clemson, honestly, it's crazy. These regionals, they draw teams like Vanderbilt. Now you got Tennessee. It's real tough sled. I know, nobody on this side shedding a tear, but that is a hell of a draw if you're the Clemson Tigers. And by the way, they match up with the Auburn Regional. So we could get a little Clemson Auburn, a little Clemson Southern Miss, something like that in the Supers. Could be a lot of fun. I like Florida. The 3 seed in that one jumps out to me, Texas Tech. The 3 seed Texas Tech, known for good offense. Florida's a team they've struggled to get out of their own regional. Will that be the case yet again for them? Guys, many folks, and I know you won't love to see it, but many folks are going to be taking Campbell to beat South Carolina. Many folks. There's going to be a lot of people out there that feel like the Gamecocks got a host when they didn't deserve one, and I think you're going to see South Carolina be one of the sexier upset picks, or Campbell over South Carolina be one of the sexier upset picks, but that's a high-quality regional. Like I said, I feel good about Coastal. UNC Wilmington's a really intriguing team. Virginia, I think Oklahoma is one of the last 4 in. I think they could actually make a run. East Carolina, we know what they have. High-quality program in Virginia. I mean, it's crazy, man. Virginia, all they do is win. All Virginia does is win, and win at a high level. Oregon going to Nashville. I think Vanderbilt, I like them with Oregon, Xavier, and Eastern Illinois, but Oregon's a dangerous team. Xavier's a dangerous team. Hell, we've seen Xavier the midweek and what they can do. Not pairing up Arkansas and Oklahoma State against each other is just a crime. I don't know why they wouldn't do it, but either way, I like Okie State in their regional as well. Washington's an intriguing team to me. DBU always is intriguing. Then Indiana State. I think they're going to be a really popular pick to get booted out. I just think people are going to look at that bracket. They're going to say, Indiana State, who the hell is that? Look at Iowa at 2. Look at North Carolina, a college baseball blue blood, at 3. I think a lot of people are going to be taking the Tar Heels. And then finally, guys, like I mentioned, Arkansas, I think they're in a good spot. TCU's dangerous. Arizona, I mean, I don't know how Arizona got in. I think they went 12-18 in their conference. Either way, they sneak in one of the last ones. I think Arkansas most likely will skate through that. But, the question now turns to which SEC teams are most likely to get booted out of the regional round. And guys, I'll go ahead and start it. And this is far from my prediction or anything of the sort, but I think South Carolina is going to be one of those first teams people look at and say, you know what, the way they played down the stretch, Campbell's a good team. Campbell got screwed over. They'll come in with a chip on their shoulder. I think a lot of people are going to be taking the Camels. I think a lot of people. Also, how can you trust Florida? How can you trust Florida? I know they've been great down the stretch, but they've gotten this position before and they've fallen flat on their face. So how can you trust? I mean, dude, it would not shock me if Florida lost that first game to Florida A&M. We've seen them do that before. We've literally seen them do that before. Again, I could see Auburn going down. Did they deserve to host? I think it's debatable. And then one of the top seeds, I could see Kentucky getting knocked out, man. West Virginia, Indiana, that's a really good 2-3. Ball State's also a quality club. You go through the rest of the list. Alabama, again, with BC and Troy at the 2-3. I think that's a really high-quality regional. Also, Nichols at the 4. Don't sleep on them. As for the rest, I feel pretty confident in the 1 seeds. LSU maybe, but I think LSU will lock in at Alex Box, and they'll get the job done. So, all in all, man, it's a stacked field of 64. Cannot wait to watch everything this weekend over the next couple of weeks as the field of 64 plays out, and we all make our way. The road to Omaha officially set. And, again, I think the Gamecocks will be inspired, fired up. It's a great field, but, it's going to be very competitive. Campbell's got that chip on their shoulder. Feels like they should have hosted, and NC State's NC State, right? So I can't wait for it, man. You guys know I love college baseball, and just taking a look at the field of 64, like I mentioned, guys, we'll have all of the Carolina baseball, the Columbia Regional. We will have that in the Big Cock Club Discord, but also we'll be streaming all of the baseball. What's it called? The Full Count or Bases Loaded or whatever it is, their streaming service they do for all of these games. I could most certainly see we'll be streaming all the games, not just South Carolina, because we love college baseball. Mark Kingston speaking briefly to the media. He believes that Cole Messina will be ready to go. Wimmer will be ready to play shortstop. Sanders is prepared to pitch this weekend, probably out of the bullpen. And also Mark Kingston believes that South Carolina will play the evening game on Friday. I don't know in what world they wouldn't. Normally you have 3 or 4 o'clock is game 1, and then 7 o'clock or so is your second game, which is where your number 1 seed will play. So South Carolina most likely getting that night game on Friday, what I'd expect. I'm sure full details, times, all that good stuff. I'm sure that will all take place. We'll get all that information probably later today or tomorrow at the latest. So the field of 64 is set. Who's your pick to go all the way to Omaha and hoist the trophy? Are the Gamecocks on the verge of making an unprecedented run to Omaha and doing what we all thought they were capable of, which is winning a national championship? Guys, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into another quick break. On the other side, though, we're going to get my good friend Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, on the show as we talk everything Gamecocks, SEC, and national college football. Guys, all that and more on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecock seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. they're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Marshall Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back here on this Monday, May the 29th, 2023. Again, guys, let me say thank you all so much for the continued love and support. Hope you're having a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. And like I mentioned, top of the show, let's not forget the reason for today. Say thank you to all those, man, that made the ultimate sacrifice so we could have the freedoms to do things like talk Gamecocks athletics, talk sports, and just do everything that we do on a day in, day out basis. So happy Memorial Day, and thank you to those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Again, I just think about those in my life who have served, who are serving, if you will, and those who are no longer with us. Definitely keep them in your thoughts today, and tell a veteran thank you today here on this Memorial Day. And for those of you who are out and about, hey, make sure you stay safe. I'm sure many are on the boat today, drinking a cold beer, grilling out, whatever it is. And also counting down the days to kickoff as the college football season creeps upon us. With that being said, he joins us each and every single Monday to do that, just that thing, talk college football. Gamecocks, SEC, and on a national level as well. Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. He joins us. Mark, what is going on, my friend? Happy Memorial Day to you. Appreciate you taking the time. What's going on?
Happy Memorial Day, Chris. Good word from you. I hope everyone takes that to heart. Absolutely full 100% backing here, no doubt. So much that we have to be thankful for and to thank those veterans for, past and present. Barbecuing for me yesterday, a little bit more of the same later today. So good times, kind of one of those points on the calendar that marks time every year for us. You know, this is boom, you're into summer. Maybe not necessarily for you folks in South Carolina because you've experienced 85-degree weather for a while here. And I got to admit, in Ohio, since probably the first week of April this year, surprisingly, it's been almost nonstop 75 to 80 and sunny for like 6 straight weeks, minus like 3 days. It's been pretty incredible.
Mark, not to give away your exact location, but I'm curious, where are you in Ohio again? What general area?
Yeah, so my family's from Ohio generally,
Okay.
although they've scattered around Tennessee and other places more recently. And I've lived for the last 21 years in Connecticut. Some family situations that I came back to about a year ago. And might be headed down your way soon. We'll see.
Very good. I only asked, Mark, because actually this past weekend I was in Orgonia, Ohio. So I was actually visiting some family, if you will. But
I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, so it's about 45 minutes from Cincinnati. It was the first time I've
okay.
ever even been to Ohio, though. So to your point, though, I got a notification yesterday, I believe today, actually. I think the high there was like 85. And we were up there. It was actually pretty comfortable. I was wondering, I went there, I was like, I'm trying to figure out, why does everyone crap on Ohio so much? I don't know that I really left and got the answer, but Mark, obviously you're the voice of college football, which is on a national scale. And I'm not sure if you saw our timeline, but I did get to stop by yesterday on my way home, stopped in Cincinnati and got to see the Cincinnati Bearcats football stadium, something I'd obviously never seen. Really, really cool. A different stadium. And I love to look at stadiums, Mark. I really appreciate each individual stadium and truly its individuality. So Cincinnati was very different, and I guess it's what I'd imagine a college football stadium in a city like Cincinnati would look like, but very, very cool. And I know obviously for them going to the Big 12, that's a big deal. I saw the Big 12 logo up on their campus, but really, really cool to see that stadium.
And it's a tough sell for a place like Cincinnati. They're in an NFL city that loves their Bengals, who have had success, and even when they're not, I don't know. The South has become more accustomed to the NFL. When I first worked in the South, this was mid-90s, and this is before, I worked in Mississippi and covered Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Alabama. They were all within an hour. And, just from like, you're a baseball guy, and I used to be just a rabid baseball fan, their team was the Atlanta Braves. And I'm coming from Ohio, where the Indians were 30 minutes away. I'd go to the Indians games almost every couple of weeks. And I'm thinking, people are going rooting for a team from Atlanta. Well, I guess they have to. And much like the NFL has just taken hold of the South here in the last couple decades. But before that, you had to be like a Saints fan or a Dolphins fan. And most of the transplants were from the North that rooted for the Dolphins. And there really wasn't an NFL hold in the South. So that's why the SEC has just taken everybody's hearts from generation to generation. But so there's not that Cincinnati situation where you're right there with an NFL team, casting its large shadow over you and trying to find a niche, trying to find a stranglehold within the city, even though it's a lot of people there. It's a Bengals town. And for the Cincinnati Bearcats to make noise and to gain any kind of support, they got to be really good.
Which they were a couple of years ago. Mark, changing gears a little bit. I see that Georgia helmet in the corner of your camera there. I just saw where Georgia and Florida have extended their game in Jacksonville. I think 2024, 2025. There's some uncertainty about that, whether it's going to continue because of the construction going on the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. So that leads me to this, Mark. Are you a fan of neutral site college football games? Of course, South Carolina is taking on North Carolina in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, which the Gamecocks have played a ton of games in Charlotte, and I know some refer to that as sort of a house of horrors for Carolina up until the Duke's Mayo Bowl when it felt like they exercised some demons. Some really interesting results for South Carolina, not even in just football. Baseball as well has had their struggles. But do you like the neutral site games? Would you prefer to see home and home? Where do you stand on that?
So I like variety. So what I would like to see a North Carolina South Carolina series be is let's sign a 3-year contract. Let's play home and home, and let's play one neutral site game, because I think there's flavor to all of that, and there's room for all of that. When it comes to Georgia, Florida, I know that there's a whole series of issues on both sides. And when you get SEC rivals together on a issue like that, they never agree. So I've talked to the Georgia contingent, I've talked to the Florida contingent, and I've heard all the various arguments from both sides about why this works and doesn't work, and recruiting, and Kirby whines about recruiting, and he's the last guy in America who should be whining about recruiting disadvantages. But since the only two that I can think of off the top of my head that are played annually are Georgia, Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, they're special because of that. There's a special quality to that. I wouldn't want every rivalry in America to, Ohio State and Michigan to wind up in Toledo somewhere playing a game, or Cleveland. That would be ridiculous. But they work because, again, so much of this sport is about tradition, and we're trying to hang on to a lot of those traditions. We're losing so many. Let's hang on to the ones that we have that mean something to that group of fans.
Now, speaking of neutral site games, Mark, South Carolina, North Carolina, of course, like I mentioned, in Charlotte, that game in regards to Vegas has gone back and forth, but it is settled at North Carolina as a 1.5-point favorite. I think I just saw Vegas Insider. I think Caesar Sportsbook, actually. That game is now a pick'em. It has moved to a pick'em. I ask you this. Are you surprised at how much love North Carolina is getting ahead of that game? Because I know that's a spread that Gamecock fans look at it and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I understand the Drake May hype and buying his stock, but even I sit back and say I'm a bit surprised that after the way these two teams finished a season ago, I'm surprised where the line sits in Vegas. What do you make of that? And I guess, Mark, for you, how much stock do you put into Vegas gambling lines, over-unders, things of that nature when looking at a matchup in a college football team?
Well, I put a ton of stock into it. I think Vegas really knows what it's doing. And when Vegas misses, it's usually because we all missed. Like if they say somebody's a 21-point favorite and there's some monumental upset, well, none of us saw it coming. So Vegas didn't see it coming. It's not like, well, Vegas really screwed up and we all saw it coming too. No. The North Carolina, South Carolina thing, yeah, I think there's some intrigue. I think Vegas knows that there is going to be a contingent of fans out there that are going to be like, well, North Carolina's got this amazing offense and they're going to put up points, and Drake May's amazing. He's going to be, if he was that good as a freshman, bam, he's going to explode. They got to be the better team. But if you look at roster depth, if you look at muscle up front, if you look at trench play, South Carolina is a better football team than North Carolina. I have no doubt about that. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't lose that game. I expect it to be a very competitive game. And, Spencer Rattler could throw the ball around the yard a little bit too much and get picked off 3 times and they lose the game. But I have no doubt that South Carolina is a better team, game to game, week to week. And if they went to I had this conversation the other day, and some fans don't like to hear this kind of rhetoric, but we were talking about the ACC. And I'm like, okay, Clemson isn't what they used to be. This is a big year for Clemson in terms of their trajectory going forward. Florida State, I know that they had this breakout year last year. Who did Florida State beat in this 6-game winning streak to finish the season? The answer is no one. So you take any mid-tier team from the AC or from the SEC, South Carolina, Ole Miss, somebody of that tier, and you throw them in the ACC. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the conference, but they'd make you think, okay, they would make a run. They would be a wild card possibility to win the conference. That's the difference between the SEC and the ACC.
Now, Mark, as you turn your attention to this season, I want to change gears with you a little bit. I don't know if we've ever had this conversation. Your journey in sports media. I know this is kind of off the wall, if you will, but like you mentioned, it's the end of May. And for those of us who love college football, I mean, there's just not a ton happening right now. So, Mark, I want you to talk about yourself, man. I don't even think I know this about you. Just how did you get to the point you're at now, the voice of college football? I know you've worked with ESPN, different publications. If you can summarize your journey just to this point in talking college football and doing what you do for a living.
Yeah. So I was the kid at 10 years old who was, do you still have me?
I think you're frozen on our end. Let me try to jump back in. I'm gonna kick you out and let's jump back in, Mark. We'll get the video fixed here. So we're gonna kick Mark Rogers. I don't know. I asked him a question. I guess the Muschamp Packers decide they don't want to hear it, but I don't know why. Every time Mark joins us, the video glitches. I have no idea why. We'll get him back in here. No big deal. Mark Rogers, every time. I don't know if it's him, if it's me, or what the situation is. I have no clue. So we shall see. Anyways, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all so much for the continued love and support. As I mentioned here on this Monday, May the 29th, as we await, here is Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. I don't know why, Mark, every single time. I think you're just spitting too much hot fire flames, my guy, that it just throws a wrench in the system or something. But either way, I'll let you get back into it, man. Again, you're just overall story in sports media, if you will.
Yeah, trying to summarize this. So I was the kid that, even though I love playing sports, so I was out on the field. I wasn't a complete nerd that was always inside, adding up statistics. I played baseball every year, played football through high school, the whole deal. But in terms of I was the nerd that would take you can appreciate this as a baseball fan. I would take Sunday's paper that would give you all the Major League Baseball stats, and I would look through that. But I would not be satisfied with that because the Saturday box scores were not included in Sunday's stats. So I'd have to take Saturday's box scores and I'd add them to Sunday's statistics. And so to get the accuracy up to date, because 273 might be 272 after the 1 for 4, So anyway, I was just the nerd that memorized scores and everything. Just once I dove into sports, I was crazy. So I knew I wanted to be a sports writer or sportscaster because I didn't have the talent to go past playing in high school. So I decided on sportscasting. It was just a little freer, a little bit more expressive. And so I went to Kent State, majored in sports journalism, actually kind of forced them to create this field of concentration that they had never had before called sportscasting. I'm like, I'm not going to be some traditional journalist. So anyway, I get a news job coming out of college. Funny story is I'm looking for a sportscasting job. I'm just, this is kind of pre-internet, early internet. So, you're cold calling and you're just driving to places and setting up meetings. And this place had a news anchor's job open and I didn't know it. And so I'm actively interviewing, which unbeknownst to me, I'm interviewing. I'm just talking to the general manager and the news director. So anyway, they asked me about whether I like news because I'm pitching myself as a sports guy. They asked me about news. I'm like, I despise news. I hate news. I want nothing to do with news. Well, they end up hiring me as a news anchor. They put me on the set and had me read the teleprompter. Like months later into this job, I'm like, well, how did you get when I was finally, comfortable with talking to these guys? I'm like, why in the world did you guys hire me as a news anchor when I told you I despise news? And they said, well, you read the teleprompter better than anyone else. So I started off in news, did that for 3 years, but fortunately I did play-by-play on the side, a lot of Division II and high school football, basketball, all that sort of thing. Then I got a sportscasting job as a sports director at a CBS station in Mississippi. That's when I got ingrained in the SEC firsthand. So great experience there for 7 years at WCBI. Man, that was just in some ways the best job I've ever had because I landed at the right station that just let me cover sports and do whatever I wanted. They hardly ever asked me to do anything. And because the sports was so huge in that area, you had Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Alabama right in your backyard. Like I'm going to bowl games, Final Fours, stuff, College World Series constantly. And then the news was Podunk, Mississippi. So actually this was very rare in the news business at the time. They were giving me time every night. Actually, the news operations were usually taking the time away from sports and saying, now your 5 minutes is down to 3.5 now because we've got these big stories. They were always offering me time. So, man, we had a great time in Mississippi covering the SEC. And then I got the job at ESPN. I was there for 19 years as a production operations manager in Connecticut, and great people, great time. Can't say a whole lot for the company at the end. They did some unscrupulous things, but that's a whole other story. But had a great time at ESPN for 19 years. And that led me to this. And I decided that, hey, if it's going to be this or it's going to be ESPN, this is what I want to do. So I took off on this in October of 2020.
Mark, your thoughts on the way social media has changed things like journalism, reporting on sports, the way we interact. Obviously you have to embrace it. And I think there are obviously a lot of positives. There's a lot of pros to it. There can be some cons, and you're someone that you're very interactive on social media. So I know you see both sides, and let's just call it for what it is. Anybody who comes on my show and interacts with me, you definitely see the dark sides of social media and the craziness that can take place, for better or for worse. Your thoughts on just the way that social media has changed the game as someone like yourself who has seen it with and without the beast that is social media.
I had a luncheon one time with Rick Riley of Sports Illustrated, great columnist for years and years and years at Sports Illustrated. And he made the statement, and it's so true. He said, the great thing about the internet is that everybody has a voice. Everybody has a voice. Anybody can start a blog. Anybody can start a channel. That is amazing. He said, you know what the worst thing about the internet is? Anybody can start a blog. Anybody can start a channel. So there's a bunch of knuckleheads, a lot of people out there that don't know what they're talking about, don't know what they're doing. But hey, it's America. The marketplace should be able to determine who's good, who's valid. Unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there. If we're talking about real serious stuff that's real meaningful, yeah, that's another story. But even within the sports realm, yeah, I'm correcting people every day that are saying stupid things that, have a stupid opinion. That doesn't bother me so much. But when you're spewing out incorrect information, inaccurate information, yeah, I have to, and I think I would suggest most people do this, just understand what your limitations are, understand how social media impacts or affects you, because it affects some people emotionally. So you have to get a rein on it and say, okay, I only go on once a day. I review some things, I post, just understand who you are and how it impacts you, and then put up guardrails to kind of rein yourself in and, go read a book or paint your room or go have lunch with a friend, get off scrolling through that thing all the time, because it's made all of us a little bit like zombies.
Post and ghost, Mark Rogers, a good motto to live off of, especially when you're in a position like we are. SEC spring meetings, Mark, are taking place this week. Some things in the docket, of course, the 9-game conference schedule, ESPN in regards to money and what they'll be getting from them. Is there anything in your mind that you're, I don't know if we're looking forward to SEC spring meetings. Is there anything you think fans should be paying attention to, or anything significant you think will come out of the SEC spring meetings? I guess, again, back to it, the scheduling, the 9-game conference schedule, who are these permanent opponents? That is certainly something that it sounds like by week's end, we could have a really, really good idea who those teams are going to be for each individual member of the SEC.
And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. And I understand both arguments to this. I understand the college football fan from some other conference that says, you know what, play 9 games like everybody else. Let's make this more uniform so we can evaluate better. And we don't have to see the powers in the SEC playing UT Chattanooga and the Citadel the second to last week of the season and all of that. The defense for the SEC is that it's the best conference. Unfortunately, there's no argument. It is just the best conference. Therefore, it's 8 games plus a legitimate non-conference, even if it plays 3 cupcakes or 3, usually 2 kind of marginal group of 5s and then an FCS. It's still a tougher schedule than what other teams have to face. So I get both arguments, but those, we've got the added intrigue of the entries of Oklahoma and Texas and what the SEC is going to do with them and what they're going to do. We're going to get a good read in, the approach of what rivalries they deem important and more so than others. And then for a school like South Carolina that has, I want to say, obviously the main rivals outside the conference. So very strong rivalries, but not like have to have Alabama, Auburn, Iron Bowl kind of rivalries. What do they do with South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri? I can't imagine South Carolina is too crazy about playing Missouri every year, so they could ditch that one. But Tennessee's important to South Carolina fans, I got to think. Florida, Georgia, of course, they're right there bordering Georgia. Those are, but they're not monumental rivalries. And I don't know if I'm offending any South Carolina fans, but you got to understand from a national perspective, they're not, but they mean something. And what are they going to do with South Carolina?
And it's been rumored, Mark, that Georgia, Florida, and Florida and Kentucky. So Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky would be the three for South Carolina. You think that's fair, unfair? I mean, listen, everybody wants to play Vandy, right? Not everybody can. Georgia, Florida, Kentucky. Would you say that'd be a fair draw for the Gamecocks? And, I know that once this comes out, we're all going to be kind of ranking, all right, who got screwed, who got the favorable draw, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be obviously tougher for some than others, especially if you keep these rivalries. But I would say, Mark, that I think Georgia, Florida, Kentucky would actually be a pretty decent draw for South Carolina.
I like it. I think it makes sense from a regional standpoint, like I just addressed. It makes sense from a balance standpoint. You could get unlucky. There could be stretches of time if Florida comes back, Kentucky's been, if they're able to find, whether it's Stoops continues there or find a good replacement for him, they're a different program, obviously, than they were 10 years ago. So that could be a tough draw at times. Right now, not necessarily a horrible draw, although Georgia's the automatic L, unlike just about anybody in the country. But I think it makes total sense. Like if you were going to create South Carolina in a vacuum, that would, there could be an argument for Tennessee there, maybe instead of Kentucky. But, I'm sure they've got their Alabama, Vandy, Kentucky, I would guess would be their three. So, that's the other portion of this, the puzzle piece that people need to consider when they, rant about their particular team. Well, we need to have A, B, and C. Well, you need to throw the whole thing together before you can criticize the decisions that are made.
Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. Mark, are you a college baseball guy at all? Will you watch any of the postseason or anything upcoming or no?
I don't, but I got to tell you, Chris. So I grew up Major League Baseball fan, Major League Baseball guy, just loved it every day, bought the ticket,
Who was your team?
Indians fan, Guardians.
Okay. Guardians.
Indians.
Okay. Yeah.
But man, I got to tell you, and I was never around, even though Kent State, so I went to Kent State, had a really good baseball program. Danny Hall, he went to Georgia Tech later, really good baseball program.
Yeah.
Nobody showed up. Nobody cared. Went to the SEC, and I suddenly had to cover SEC baseball, and I loved it. It was phenomenal covering SEC baseball. Loved it. Yes.
Yeah, it's unlike, it's crazy. We talk, Mark, as good as the SEC is in football, I think you could argue it's even better in baseball. Just the sheer depth of the conference, where it's like literally every team except maybe one or two is really, really good. Even the teams at the bottom could go to the ACC, the Big 12, any other conference and finish at minimum middle of the pack. So, I mean, it's the depth of that conference is incredible. But, Mark, before you get out of here, just tell the folks what's on the content docket for you. Again, like you mentioned, slower time of year. We're about to enter the month of June. And so I really feel like, up until media days start to kick in, we'll have some recruiting for sure in the month of June. But what's upcoming for you in regards to content?
I broke away from starting to record a disputed national championship series. We're going to go through every year and possibly dispute some national championships. We are going to challenge the national championship decisions. Now, obviously, during the playoff era, I'm not disputing that those teams earned it on the field, but did the selection committee get it right for those four? We're going to go back through time, the BCS era, the poll era, and correct some national championships.
I love it. Mark Rogers, the voice of college football. He joins us each and every single Monday. Mark, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day holiday, and we'll talk to you next week.
Chris, you as well. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Take care. Great stuff from Mark Rogers. Guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We're going to jump into a quick break, and on the other side, we're going to keep the conversation going here on this Monday, May the 29th. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecock seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back Monday, May the 29th, 2023. Want to first things first say thank you to Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, for taking the time to chat. Always great stuff. And again, guys, even with the college football offseason, we will be finding plenty to talk about. That is for sure. It may get a little bit random at times. It may get a little bit off the wall at times, but either way, we'll keep the conversation rolling. Again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, we're live until 3:30 because of the selection show and us finding out who was in South Carolina's regional. We pushed the show back, obviously, 30 minutes on our start time. So 12:30 to 3:30 today. With that being said, we got our Power Hour upcoming shortly. Like I mentioned, guys, thank you all so much for the continued love, the support on the merchandise side of the business, the podcast, of course, our live show on YouTube, the Rowdy Rooster Rundown, social media. And thank you so much to all the Clem Sucks fans who keep Twitter popping. Y'all be sure 843-790-3377. Call that number, flood the voicemails, the text line, the chat box. In the meantime, we've actually got a voicemail from a Clemson fan that we will start off the Q&A Power Hour with here shortly. And guys, here's the thing. The beauty is truly in the banter. So I love it. I love the rivalry smack talk. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, Carolina and Clemson will face each other in the College World Series final. Can you even imagine? That College World Series final and how crazy that would be? Guys, also, like I mentioned earlier, be sure to join the Big Cock Club Discord. Join the Big Cock Club Discord, patreon.com/Big Cock Club. We will air all of South Carolina's postseason action and the full Columbia Regional in the Big Cock Club Discord, which it has just been announced, by the way. It has just been announced. First pitch start times for the Columbia Regional. Game 1 on Friday will take place between Campbell and NC State, 1 o'clock on the ACC Network. Interesting. 1 o'clock Friday on the ACC Network. Campbell will take on NC State. So while we are live for the Daily Crow, that game will be taking place. South Carolina's game against Central Connecticut State will take place indeed Friday night, 7 o'clock on ESPN+. So again, you're intrigued, you're interested in tuning in, be sure to join the Big Cock Club Discord. We'll air that game 7 p.m. Friday night as the Gamecocks get their postseason started against Central Connecticut State in the Columbia Regional. So really excited for that, guys. In the meantime, though, we're going to switch the conversation from baseball to the gridiron as we talk South Carolina football. And I did this a couple of months back. And I like to do this each offseason before the upcoming football season. That is rank South Carolina's football schedule from easiest to toughest games. Now, like I mentioned, I did this back in January. And the reason I wanted to revisit it is simply this. Number one, these rosters and these teams have changed drastically because of the transfer portal, because of injuries, things of that nature. Also, simply put, we did not put this in podcast form. We only dropped a graphic back in January. So I want to talk about it. I want to explain my rankings. I want to explain my thought process in each of these rankings. So again, guys, the 2023 football schedule ranked by yours truly from the easiest games to the most difficult game on the upcoming schedule. Let's go ahead and dive into it. At number 12, my easiest game on the upcoming 2023 football season for the Gamecocks is the home date, September the 9th, against the Furman Paladins. All my upstate folks, hey, please don't take it personally, but I think this one for sure, you look at the schedule, week 2 for Shane Beamer's program should be a nice tune-up in between North Carolina and that huge matchup in Athens against Georgia. And I'll tell you this, the Furman Paladins, a very proud football program, had a solid season a year ago, But you look at the SoCon versus the SEC, it is just a completely different level of football. And so at number 12, the easiest matchup of the season for the Gamecocks, in my opinion, is against Furman, September the 9th, week 2 of the season. At number 11 on my rankings of the 2023 football schedule from easiest to toughest, number 11, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. It'll be Gamecocks versus Gamecocks November the 4th at Williams-Brice Stadium. Jacksonville State, again, a team, hey, we saw them a couple of years ago, beat Florida State. Was that even last year, I think? I think it was 2 years ago. We saw them beat Florida State, take them down. So Jacksonville State, a capable team. We've seen them pull big upsets, but I think when you look at the schedule as a whole, this will be one of the easier games. I think Carolina's got like a 99% win percentage chance in this one via the ESPN FPI. So at number 11 in my rankings, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks on November the 4th, which will actually kick off the month of November for South Carolina. Coming in at number 10 in my rankings of the 2023 football schedule from easiest to toughest games. Now we dive into SEC play. And I've said this many times that one of these years, right? One of these years, what's almost kind of scary to think about, one of these years, Vanderbilt's going to beat South Carolina. And I like Clark Lee. I like what he's building. You know, Vandy last year, you beat Kentucky, you beat Florida, you go 5-7. You're just on the edge of getting bowl eligibility. Vandy is a team that I think, believe it or not, some will laugh, I think is somewhat on the rise under Clark Lee. When you look at the schedule, they've got to come to Willie B at number 10 for me. The home date against Vanderbilt, November the 11th. So you got Jacksonville State and Vandy back to back. I still think this is one of the easier games for South Carolina on their schedule. It's a game you expect to win. You've won 13 in a row against the Commodores, and Carolina will expect to make it 14 in a row when Clark Lee's team comes to town in mid-November. So again, number 10 for me on my list, the week 10, I believe, or week 11, something like that. Either way, the late season matchup against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Coming in at number 9 in my list of the 2023 football schedule, ranking it from easiest to toughest games. And this is one, so this is where, if you look back at my list in January, Furman, Jacksonville State, Vanderbilt, right? Those have not changed. Those were in those exact positions when I dropped this initial list back in January. This is where you start to see some changes. Because when it comes to the SEC and it comes to matchups, it's very easy to get lost in the brand and get blinded by the logo and lose sight of, well, who's actually on the roster? Who are you actually going up against? If you're not going up against the logo, you're going up against that team on the field. And so for me at 9 and 8, I had these two teams flip-flopped, honestly, somewhat because of that, because of the logo syndrome that I just mentioned. But at number 9, and this might feel low to some, but at number 9 in my rankings, the 2023 football schedule from easiest to toughest, I got the Florida Gators, man. The home date against Florida, October the 14th. Most notably, South Carolina, by the way, will be coming off of a bye week in that one. I think because of that, I think also because of Florida, you know, I know they beat you like a drum last year, but Graham Mertz at quarterback, is he the answer for them? Billy Napier, Sunbelt Billy, he's on somewhat of a, I won't say he's on a hot seat, but it's getting warmer and warmer and warmer. You know, what kind of worries me in this game is that Florida's a team, they've been slept on all offseason. They've been crapped on really all offseason. You know, does that talent shine? But they severely lack depth. Yes, they've got solutions at running back. They got a couple nice pieces there, but there are questions all over this Florida roster. And I think this game, of course, half of this list, they are all home dates for South Carolina, which would make sense, right? Your tougher games are obviously going to be on the road. So for me, number 9, the 9th, what would you say? Easiest, 9th toughest game on the schedule for South Carolina is that home date, October the 14th, against the Florida Gators. Coming in at number 8, the 8th toughest game on South Carolina's 2023 schedule. In my opinion, this is a pivotal early season matchup. Many have labeled this the biggest quote-unquote trap game for South Carolina. And this is one, we talk about Gamecocks being Gamecocks, and that'd be such a Gamecock thing to do. Well, falling to Mississippi State, a game that I feel like so many, for whatever reason, are overlooking. Maybe it's because of the death of the late, great Mike Leach. Losing that game would be such a Gamecock thing to do. Number 8 for me, my 8th toughest game, the home date against Mississippi State on September the 23rd. And when you think about this game, where it falls, the importance also to be early in the season still, you'll be, still retooling that secondary. You face off against Will Rogers, one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. I definitely think this is one. And again, guys, I had this one below Florida. I think Mississippi State is a more dangerous team. Higher. And I think that while they lose the late, great Mike Leach, dangerous for that reason. I think this is one you look at and you need to approach very, very cautiously if you're the Gamecocks. It's going to be a tough game, one of those typical tough SEC games. The 8th toughest game on the 2023 football schedule for the Gamecocks. Give me Mississippi State at home, September the 23rd. The 7th toughest game on the Gamecocks 2023 football schedule. And this is another situation where I flip-flop some teams, flip-flop some games because of things in the transfer portal, what have you, right? And also what factors into this is where you play and when you play. If this game was earlier on in the season, I think I'd have it higher up my list. But the fact of the matter is, you get them at home, you get them late in season. We've seen Shane Beamer's football team. They play much better down the stretch, especially in the second half of the year. The 7th toughest game for Gamecocks football, in my opinion, going into the season, November the 18th at home against the Kentucky Wildcats. And I'm sure many of you are seeing Kentucky catch a lot of hype this preseason. Liam Cohen is back in Lexington as the offensive coordinator. Will Levis is gone. Devin Leary is now in at quarterback, coming in from NC State. And I know last season for him was rough due to injuries, what have you, but he was fantastic in 2021. They've also picked up some key pieces from the transfer portal on the offensive line. And defensively, you would expect this to be a Kentucky football team under Mark Stoops. They're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to play that style of football. They're going to run the football. They're going to punch you in the mouth. And so this one too. Hey, the revenge factor, if you want to factor that in, Kentucky certainly will have a chip on their shoulder after what happened last year and the whole rivalry that's sort of brewing between Shane Beamer, Mark Stoops. I'm putting this one 7th, again, because I think South Carolina late in the season at home. I think there's also a good chance this one's played at night. The Gamecocks have been really fortunate of late to get so many night games. I could see this being yet another game under the lights at Willie B. The 7th toughest game, in my opinion, the home date, November the 18th against Kentucky. Now we get to the top half of this list. The 6th toughest game of the 2023 football season for the Gamecocks is the season opener in Charlotte, North Carolina, September the 2nd against UNC. And again, if this game were later in the season, I may not have it so high up my list. But season openers are always tricky. They're always difficult. You have so many question marks. You have so many holes. The only way to answer these questions is to play an actual game. UNC with questions as well. But when you think about the Gamecocks questions, and you think about the threats that North Carolina poses, it's a bit of a scary situation, right? A retooled secondary, a questionable pass rush going up against, and I know he was not good at the end of the season. I understand it. But going up against one of the best quarterbacks in college football in Drake May. Also, you have to factor this in, and maybe they exercise these demons at the end of year 1 of Shane Beamer when they won the Dukes Mayo Bowl. But going back to Charlotte, it'll be a de facto home game for UNC. I think Gamecock Nation will show up. Probably 60-40, though, UNC fans in favor of the Carolina Blue, right? You have to factor that in. The Gamecocks' success or lack thereof in the Queen City. For some reason, playing in Bank of America Stadium, they seem to play their worst football at times. Because it's the season opener, because of the way that UNC threatens you and the question marks you have. This, for me, guys, the September 2nd season opener at B of A in Charlotte against North Carolina, the 6th toughest game of the 2023 football season, in my opinion. Let's move to the top 5. My 5th toughest game on the Gamecocks football schedule heading into the 2023 season. And this is one. I mean, you talk about becoming a thorn in our side, becoming a thorn in the side of Gamecocks football. And I talked about this in year 1 of Shane Beamer, how it was a weird road trip. It's just a weird road trip. It's not the most intimidating atmosphere in the SEC. It's not the most intimidating atmosphere, not even nearly in college football, but it's just a weird place to go play. And that is Como, the other Columbia, my 5th toughest game on the 2023 football schedule, October the 21st in Columbia, Missouri, against Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers. And yes, the streak that Mizzou has against you, that absolutely factors into this. If it was not for that, hey, they'd be much further down this list. But guys, the fact of the matter is right now, Eli Drinkwitz and Mizzou, they own South Carolina at the moment. And this is a game, it's got to be. I mean, hell, it's been the number 1 toughest game for the Gamecocks over the last couple of years for whatever reason. Again, Como, a weird place to play. They'll fully expect to win. I think the one thing you could say going in your favor, besides the fact that I think your roster top to bottom is probably still better, maybe the thing going in your favor is that, hey, streaks are made to be broken, and at some point it's going to happen. But after last year losing at home at Willie B to Mizzou in that ugly game, I know this is one certainly that if all Gamecock fans are honest, you're nervous. We're all nervous about this one, looking at the schedule. And my goodness, South Carolina's got to get that tiger-sized monkey off their back and break this streak at some point. So my 5th toughest game of the season because of the streak, because of Eli Drinkwitz and the success he's had against the Gamecocks. It is the 5th toughest game on South Carolina's 2023 football schedule, that road date in Como on October the 21st. My 4th toughest game on the 2023 football schedule, and you snap this streak. A lot of streaks were snapped last year, right? A lot of streaks were snapped. And this is another situation in which I flip-flopped a couple of games, change up the order, if you will. And I really went back and forth on 2 opponents between 3 and 4, which one would be 3, which one would be 4. Again, you snapped a streak against this team last year. And you'll end October with the road date in College Station, my 4th toughest game on the schedule, at Texas A&M against the Aggies to close out the month of October. And anytime you got to go to College Station, you got to go to Kyle Field, a place the Gamecocks, by the way, have never won, it's always tough. And one of the most intimidating atmospheres in all of college football. A&M going to be one of those teams that, I think all of a sudden South Carolina fans may look and say, okay, that's when we're chalking up as a W. We snapped the streak. A&M's no good. I think A&M's going to have a bounce-back season. I'm not buying stock and saying they're going to win the West or anything crazy like that, because I think many of us got burned last year. Heck, I think I picked Texas A&M to go like 10-2 or 11-1 last year, and we all looked foolish. We all looked foolish, right? But when you look at that road date and the atmosphere, the intimidation factor, the fact that I think Bobby Petrino is going to work out in College Station in South Carolina, I mean, it's been a house of horrors, to say the least there. There haven't really even been hardly any competitive games. You snapped the streak last year. How much does that play into this, and how much of a factor is it in this ball game? I will say the only thing, I had them at 4 and not 3 because I'm tired of giving Texas A&M any credit, any benefit of the doubt, and them not living up to expectations. So, maybe this is one you could steal in a road upset. But for me, my 4th toughest game on the Gamecocks schedule at Texas A&M, October the 28th. Going to be a really, really tough one in College Station at Kyle Field. For me, my 3rd most toughest game. Most toughest, is that a thing? The 3rd toughest game on the Gamecocks 2023 football schedule. It is the season finale, the rivalry date against the Clemson Tigers, November the 25th at Williams-Brice Stadium. And yes, I think this is a tougher game than going on the road to Texas A&M. Number one is this: it's a rivalry game, guys. And anything can happen. Anything can happen, right? So in a rivalry game, through all the record books, everything else out the window, all bets are off. Now, South Carolina will come in this one, looking to make it 2 in a row. Okay, a lot on the line in this one. What type of season will Clemson have? That's also going to dictate the difficulty of this game. They come into this game 6-5. Well, that game all of a sudden doesn't look as difficult as it once did as we sit here right now. That being said, I think most likely that's not going to be the case. I think Gibbert Riley is worth his weight in gold. I think he's going to work out for Clemson. I think their offense is going to be much, much better, and Cade Klubnik is going to present some issues. I'm not giving you a prediction for the game, guys. I'm just telling you I think they'll be better than they were last year. That is a really difficult game. They still have one of the best rosters that South Carolina will go up against at any point in the college football season. And so, again, for that reason, I've got the home date, the season finale, the rivalry matchup against the Clemson Tigers as the third most difficult game on the 2023 football schedule. My second most difficult game on the schedule. There's only 2 left, right? So you've probably narrowed it down. My second most difficult game to close out the month of September at Tennessee against the Volunteers, September the 30th. And this is one that all Tennessee fans, players, and coaches alike, they've all got this one circled. What's so interesting about this game, both sides feel like they should win. I think Gamecock fans, after last year, look at the matchup against Tennessee and say, hey, we beat them 63-38. We had no problem with them. They've got no defense. Joe Milton is suspect. We're going to do it again. And then you got the Tennessee side who thinks they're going to boat race the Gamecocks. I mean, literally thinks Josh Heupel is not going to call off the Vols at any point in this ball game, and they are going to get their revenge on Shane Beamer and South Carolina for keeping them out of the college football playoff. What's so interesting, too, guys, is like the rivalry that this is becoming. Josh Heupel versus Shane Beamer, Gamecock fans against Tennessee fans, and the hatred is real. But because of, when it's played, but also I think Tennessee, you can almost safely pencil them in as the number 2 team in the SEC East, arguably, if you will. But I think they're going to be, I don't think this is going to be a scenario where Tennessee drops back off and goes 6-6. And here we go again for Tennessee football. Josh Heupel, because of his offensive system, his offensive scheme, it's always going to be tough to go up against Tennessee. But at Neyland, with revenge on their mind, that place will be rocking. And oh, by the way, it's been a house of horrors for Gamecocks football over the course of their history. So Shane Beamer, Juice Wells will look to go toe-to-toe with those guys. But number 2 on my list, I think it's an extremely difficult game at Tennessee, September the 30th, the second most difficult game on South Carolina's schedule, which leads us into number 1, and no surprise, the most difficult game on the 2023 football schedule, the road date in week 3 at Georgia between the hedges, September the 16th. The Gamecocks will look to do the unthinkable and pull a massive upset just like they did back in 2019. Now, early lines have come out in this one. South Carolina already seeing themselves as a 24-point underdog, which I'll admit felt a little large, but I understand, man, it's Georgia. And they've got questions, sure, but for the Dogs under Kirby Smart, man, it's just about we're going to reload. It's not a rebuild, it's a reload. It's a reload in Athens. You go into that place, too, and I know I've seen a lot of the chatter, Sanford Stadium's this, it's that, it's not. Dude, Sanford Stadium is one of the best environments in college football, and it gets, just insanely loud, and it most certainly will be the SEC opener for South Carolina. I believe the SEC opener for the Georgia Bulldogs as well. You know that they will come ready, and you just really look at the matchup on the field, the roster, and where Georgia is in the line of scrimmage. It presents a lot of problems for the Gamecocks, so that matchup against Georgia, most definitely the most difficult game on the 2023 football schedule. So again, that's my full rankings, guys. The 2023 football schedule ranked from easiest to toughest. One more time down the list. Number 12 versus Furman. Number 11 versus Jacksonville State. Number 10 versus Vandy. Number 9 versus Florida. Number 8 versus Mississippi State. Number 7 versus Kentucky. Number 6 versus UNC in Charlotte. Number 5 at Mizzou. Number 4 at Texas A&M. Number 3 versus Clemson. Number 2 at Tennessee. And number 1 at Georgia. Guys, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into another break. On the side, we're going to dive all into your questions, your comments, your calls as we get our Power Hour going. And I'm excited to hear from you all here on this Monday. Guys, your questions, your comments, your calls, and more as we kick off our Power Hour. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecocks seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood Subscription Box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Marshall Dougie, ho.
Ladies and gents, boys and girls, we are
Calling from-
back taking your questions, comments, calls. Sorry, just get the phone lines set up there. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Now begins our Q&A Power Hour here on this Monday, May the 29th, 2023. Again, guys, appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in, where we take, again, your questions, your comments, your calls. I want to hear from all of you. You can also give us a ring, 843-790-3377. You can text that number or leave your questions and comments in the YouTube chat. Also, if you're in the Big Cock Club Discord, have the TDC Questions channel. The TDC Questions channel, be sure your questions are answered there. With that being said, we're going to start off the Power Hour in style with a voicemail received earlier in the show. So without further ado, here we go.
This is Moneyball Matt calling from the I-20 Cost Cannon. This is a message for Chris. Chris, you just been a real slapdick lately, and all you tweet about Clemson, and you need to worry about your regional over Campbell freaking Campbell, dude. Stop being a slapdick and go Tigers.
You know, you just throw up a couple of tweets about Clemson. It doesn't have to be many, 2 or 3. And all of a sudden, all we're worried about is what Clemson's doing. It's just funny. I don't know why Tiger fans are so triggered today on social media. I don't know if they're worried about what Tennessee's going to. I don't know what they're concerned about, but they are the gift that keeps on delivering day in, day out on social media. So thank you for that, guys. Now the phone lines are officially open, 843-790-3377. And again, you can call that number, text that number, leave us a comment on YouTube, or if you're in the Big Cock Club Discord, you can join Brendan M in the TDC Questions channel on his slap dickery. It's just a common occurrence with Brendan. No, I'm just kidding. We love Brendan M. In the Discord, Brendan says that Bobby Petrino isn't going to work at Texas A&M, and here's the biggest Garrett Riley stan on the face of the planet. You know, call me a Garrett Riley stan. I think he's a good OC. I mean, here's the thing. If you want to say that I'm wrong, that's fine. But it would be me being wrong and a lot of other people being wrong. And where maybe I'm different than others is this. Just because you put on a Gamecock shirt, it doesn't make you good at what you do. It doesn't make you better than what you are. You are what you are. Or if you put on the rival shirt or another shirt or whatever, doesn't matter what logo you have, you are what you are. If Garrett Riley had came to South Carolina, we would be singing his praises as the best OC in college football. Would we not? You can't even say we wouldn't. So I'm not telling you that Clemson's going to beat South Carolina. I'm not telling you they're going to win the national championship, but did they upgrade an offensive coordinator? Yeah. They got a good OC. Is he probably going to make their offense better? Yeah. I mean, they literally replaced their version of Marcus Satterfield with Garrett Riley, who was the hottest commodity of offensive coordinators. I mean, I'm like, they upgraded. It's just, they upgraded. They did. They upgraded. So, am I the biggest Garrett Riley stan? I guess that's up for debate. If you think so, that's fine. But, like, I would feel the same way about him if he came to Carolina. So, I cannot sit here and lie to you and tell you that I think he sucks. I don't think Garrett Riley does suck. I think he's a pretty damn good OC. How good will he be and will it work out? We shall see. But, again, when you talk about that game and why it'll be more difficult, it'll probably be more difficult because they'll be more competent on the offensive side. Brennan also says, because I jabbed at him a little bit, says, you think Garrett Riley sucks, you simply don't know ball. He says, I'm sure I can find plenty of examples of you not knowing ball either. Well, Brendan, all of my thoughts are documented on the internet. So I'm willing. Hey, sometimes I don't know ball. You are correct. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Dalton.
Dalton, what's up, man? How are you?
How's it going? Clip about the hardest games and whatnot, and one of the hardest games, I'd like to push back a little bit on your sort of synopsis that you don't think Tennessee is going to go back to 7-6, 6-6, like they are apt to do. Because I'd like to remind you that Jeremy Pruitt had Tennessee as a top 10 team in the country at one point. Do you remember that?
That's a very good point. You are correct. That indeed did. I'm pretty sure Butch Jones had early success too, if I recall correctly.
So what makes you think that now that they have Josh Heupel, and I'm not going to say Josh Heupel is a bad coach. I think he's a pretty good coach, but do I think he's the next coming of Nick Saban? Do I think he's going to turn Tennessee into a dynasty? No, I don't. Do I think Joe Milton is going to be a Heisman contender? No, I don't. Can he throw the ball a long way? Yes, he absolutely can. But watching, clips in practice of him throwing the ball 80 yards, I don't remember, on a football field how often, throwing a ball 80 yards down the field to a receiver comes up in the game of football for the most part. So, you can say I'm sleeping on Tennessee. I'm a Tennessee hater, which I will readily admit to. But I personally don't think that Tennessee's the second hardest team that we're going to play this year.
And I'll tell you this, Dalton, to be fair, we've mentioned this before. One of the reasons I think Tennessee admittedly is getting the hype they are, and I don't know if you want to call it respect, but benefit of the doubt that they're getting is because they're Tennessee and they've historically done it. And so I think people expect that they can, I don't know, sustain it or they can more easily get back to that level than maybe a South Carolina can or whatever. I mean, I'll just say this. I look at Tennessee. Do I think they're going to be as good as last year? No. Like if they slip back to 8-4, would I be shocked? I think a lot of people believe in Heupel's offensive scheme or system, which, some people might label it as gimmicky or what have you, but it's worked thus far. It's just worked, bottom line. And they have high flying offenses. And anytime you have that, you have a chance to win a lot of games. So, I think that's why they're getting some benefit of the doubt. Also, the general consensus is they've improved on the defensive side based off the players they've added. So, Tennessee could take a step back. There's no question. They lost a lot from last year. They lost a lot, but, maybe Josh Heupel turns into Jeremy Pruitt or Butch Jones or what have you. I don't tend to think so, but I will say to your point that Tennessee is getting a little bit more benefit of the doubt than like a South Carolina would based off similar results. I know the Gamecocks didn't win 10 or 11 games last year, but Carolina is getting far less credit than, say, a Tennessee is coming into this season.
So yeah, that's my main thing with that. As far as what Brendan was talking about Garrett Riley, the new OC at Clemson. In my opinion, players make coaches look good. Clemson has good players, but do I think that Cade Klubnik is going to be as good as some of the quarterbacks that Clemson has had recently? Probably not. I just don't see it. I could be proven wrong, but I'll just say I will feel very good going into that game. Most likely, if we have even somewhat of a solid season this year, that we could beat Clemson and go 2-0.
Yeah.
The whole new OC thing doesn't bother me nearly at all. I know Garrett Riley probably is a very good OC. Is he a better play caller? And all the things that you want a good OC to do, he probably does it better than what Streeter did. But at the same time, he's not the one out there on the field playing. And as far as I can tell, the Clemson players that are out on the field playing on offense don't scare me that much. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, for sure.
And we got them on our home field.
Right. No, for sure. And listen, Gamecock fans should be very, very confident going into that ball game. For me, it's like I sang the praises of Garrett Riley on the OC search, and I feel like I would sound very foolish to all of a sudden, just because of what school he went to, that wasn't South Carolina, to completely flip and say this guy's a trash OC. But to your point, it is the players that make plays. It's the Jimmies and Joes. It's not necessarily all of the coaches. So I don't think Cade Klubnik is some Heisman Trophy winner. Carolina should, be very confident going into that game because, I mean, look what you just did last year going to their field. You got them on the home field now. We know Willie B will be rocking. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of reason for Gamecock fans to be confident in that one. I'll be curious. I mean, I just think for them, it's their version of going from Satterfield to anybody else, and that anybody else happens to be Garrett Riley, who is one of the hottest commodities for OC. But to the point you've made, Brendan's made, I've made, many people have made during this OC thing, not to rehash it, but just because you have a lot of hype and a lot of expectations, it doesn't mean you're going to pan out. And just because you're a slept-on guy who not many people have even heard of you, it doesn't mean you're not going to work out and have a lot of success. So you just really never know, and we'll find out a lot before that game when those two teams play.
And then sort of, going back to baseball, my question to you is, on your confidence level, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about going into this regional? Because in my view, it should be a pretty easy path. I know there's been a lot of pundits on Twitter today talking about, Campbell is this team, they should be a host. They're some powerhouse, they should scare whoever is there. But, I look at Campbell and I just don't see it. I mean, they haven't played teams with very much talent in the regular season. They're a mid-major team. They may be a very good mid-major team, but if we get matched up against Campbell in a potential, regional final, I would feel confident, winning 2 out of 3 against Campbell.
Yeah, you definitely, when you look at Campbell's resume and you just go through their schedule, you do question who they've played. I mean, just naturally, right? They have not played the schedule that South Carolina has played, right? They just haven't. So, as far as confidence level, Dalton, out of 10, I will say a 6.5. And that's a little bit lower than I want to say, but I'm really trying to be honest with myself. I am confident, Dalton. I'm more so, though. I mean, I agree with you. I look at the slate. Central Connecticut State you should handle. NC State's a dangerous ACC team, but they've been abysmal away from Raleigh. And, I mean, they're just an inconsistent bunch. I mean, they're not one of the elites in college baseball. And then Campbell, who, again, they're going to have this chip on their shoulder. But, in regards to who South Carolina has played, how do they stack up with SEC competition, I think that'll be interesting to see. I'm just more so worried about South Carolina, man. That's really what it comes down to. I'm worried about the Gamecocks as a whole. Can they swing the stick? Will they be consistent on the bump? Like, I'm worried about the things Carolina can control more than anything. You know what I mean? So,
well, in your opinion, what do you think is the best rotation to roll out there this weekend? Because I mean, in my view, I think we should probably use Eli Jones maybe for game 1. I don't know, maybe Becker for game 1. The main issue is you don't want to use your best arm against Central Connecticut State. You kind of just have to use a guy you're confident in, but not someone you would necessarily want to pitch during an elimination game. Because if we lose game 1, then it's not, we're in a very bad spot. But if we win game 1 like we should against Central Connecticut State, then I think we'll be in a pretty good position to make it to the final.
And so this is, Dalton, something we'll talk about as the week progresses, but a really interesting point that you bring up in regards to how do you attack that game 1? Because I've always, Dalton, been in the belief that you throw your best available when it's available. Like the whole strategy of let's save our best for game 2 or game 3. I've never really believed in that, but you do make a good point. Like if Carolina had their fully healthy rotation, I'd say, hey, just go about it as normal. Let's just throw our weekend rotation. Let's not change anything up. But the fact of the matter is you don't, right? And so, I think some of that you got to determine who is your number 1 guy right now. Would you say it's Jack Mahoney? Would you say it's Eli Jones? I mean, who's the number 1 dude right now? I'd probably say that Jack Mahoney is your number 1 because of the way he's been throwing the baseball. So to your point, Dalton, I could see them still going with Eli Jones on Friday. I could see a scenario where that makes a lot of sense. I think Will Sanders is going to probably be a bullpen guy. I don't think at this point starting him, certainly thrusting him back into your rotation, but I don't think starting him makes a lot of sense. And so, but a big question to your point will be, who do you go with on the mound? Because you want to believe that you can take care of Central Connecticut State. I mean, you just want to believe that, bottom line. But hey, this is the field of 64, man. It's the postseason. You just never know. Baseball's a crazy game. So how Mark Kingston and company attack that is going to be really, really interesting in my mind, because you don't want to sleep on your opponent, right? You don't want to take your opponent lightly, but at the same time, Dalton, you'd like to believe that you could throw your number 2 or 3 and get that W and be well rested and have your best guys ready to go against the NC States and the Campbells of the world. So it's going to be a huge storyline going into the weekend.
And another thing is we get Braylon Wimmer back in the lineup, which I think will be huge. And Cole Messina, it looks like we're getting good news on him that he's going to be back in the lineup. So, I mean, our 1 through 5 in the lineup should stack up pretty well against basically any team in the country. It's just whether or not they can generate runs and produce runs the same way they were at the beginning of the season, because I believe, that's still in them to do it. They just have been struggling at the plate. So I don't know what it is. Hopefully, the week and a half of rest will be good for them, and we'll be able to get sort of locked in at the plate a little bit more. We'll be able to play small ball. I mean, we've had the propensity to hit home runs playing at Founders Park, so I kind of like where we are. Again, it's hard to be real confident considering what we've seen the end of the regular season, but I kind of just throw all that out the window and, you start anew. Nothing in the regular season matters. The only thing that matters is what you do from here on out. So, and, as far as the people saying they wanted Kingston fired this week, I think that's kind of a slapdick take. Obviously, I'm not a fan of Mark Kingston, but at the same time, I mean, you do have to let him play until all the outs are over. You can't fire him before the season is actually over. We'll see where we end, and if he didn't, accomplish the standard by the end of the season, then, I'll have no problem making a coaching change. But right now, you kind of just have to roll with what you got and hope that the guy that you have sitting in that head coach's seat can get us to where we want to go.
Dalton, very well said, my friend. I appreciate you calling in. Always a pleasure chatting with you.
No problem.
Great stuff from Dalton there. He makes a lot of great points. And yeah, I mean, I'd agree with him. Listen, I understand the whole Kingston chatter, but he wasn't going to get fired, guys, before the postseason even gets going. It's just not going to happen. So anyways, let's get into your questions. I mean, again, we've got a ton of questions in the YouTube chat and in the Big Cock Club Discord as well. By the way, how about Clemson getting the early game on Friday, 1 p.m.? They take on Lipscomb. And I will tell you this, Tennessee Charlotte, by the way, at 6 o'clock on ESPNU. That'll be a great game. But Dalton made a great point. What's so intriguing about this time of year now and beginning the field of 64 and the road to Omaha, and, is this, that, these teams have gotten into these grooves, right? And a lot of teams have gotten in grooves of playing good baseball. And now you give them a week off, a week and a half, you change things up, you put a little bit more pressure on it. I mean, who knows? For some of these teams, the week and a half off will help. For some of these teams, they could go ice cold, and you don't have time to go ice cold. You play a bad ball game or two, and your season is over. So it'll be really interesting to see if the teams who have been hot can stay hot, and if the teams who have been cold can snap out of that funk and, like Dalton said, start a new season. Let's get into your questions. Madison Duncan, Tennessee will take care of Clem Suck. John Ebert, not a slapdick take on Kingston wanting him fired. John Ebert, he just meant like wanting him fired this week. Obviously, it's not going to happen. It's going to happen end of season. Madison says, I can't wait to see the postseason game. Same here, man. I love the college baseball season. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Madison Duncan says, I guess the the or bust is out of the question. Yeah, it's super regionals or Mark Kingston should be fired in my mind. I stand by what I said, guys, all preseason. It was either if you don't do that, you either miss the postseason, you lose in a regional on the road, which neither one of those two is going to happen. So if you can't get out of your own home regional, that'll be enough for me. That'll be enough for me. Absolutely. Matt says college baseball top 5 most likely to take the Natty in no particular order: LSU, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, and South Carolina. Do you guys agree? Are the Gamecocks one of the top 5 best bets to win it all? Will Hall says, just got back from the beach and checking in. So pumped we get to host and get the chance for home baseball again. A great birthday present for me. Will Hall, happy birthday, my friend. And I hope you're enjoying the beach and hope you guys are all enjoying whatever you're doing on Memorial Day weekend. Let's see. Cody Watkins, how do you feel about our regional? I feel good about it, Cody. I think it could have been worse. I think the NC State thing provides a really intriguing storyline. I'm going to do my very best. It's going to be tough. Finding someone who is Central Connecticut State? Yeah, finding a Central Connecticut State analyst or beat writer or podcaster or whatever is going to be the toughest. But I'd really like to get someone from each team onto the show this week to give us sort of a primer, 10, 15-minute breakdown of their team, their season, their feelings going to the regional. So we're going to try to do that. But I feel good about it, Cody. I mean, I think it could have been much worse. Again, Campbell's the most like they should have hosted a breakdown of the Blue Devils later this week. Of course, that'll be Friday, right? We'll break down that game 1. But I feel good about it. I've got optimism. I'm more intrigued just how this South Carolina ball club plays. I really am, more than anything. Sean Wells, do we have an update on McGillis? Sean, I have not seen one. John says, Kingston says Sanders is good to go this weekend and will likely have a bullpen role. And that Cole Messina cleared concussion protocol is now day-to-day and likely going to be good also. Great news. Great news to hear. Great news, John. We got some Clemson folks in here. C&T Sports Talk says, Slapdick Chris. That is me. How you doing? How's it going? Slapdick Chris is in the building. TaylorMade says, Tennessee is the biggest wild card in the tournament. I could see that, honestly. I could see that. Do not let the Vols get hot in this tournament. I mean, I hope they get through the regional, obviously, but I could definitely see that. Twisted Rooster. Good afternoon, my friend. Appreciate you tuning in as well. Brian Dean says the Gamecocks will make a run. How about it? Let's see it. Brandon says Boston College is the highest number 2 seed, 17 overall. Campbell is seeded 18 overall. Yeah. Boston College and the Tuscaloosa Regional, going to be crazy. Let's see. Brian Dean, it's wild to me that a team with 40 losses can make the NCAA tournament. I mean, Brian, it's the conference tournament, man. If you go on a run and you win the conference tournament, they put you in. So I like it. I mean, I like it. It gives you some incentive to win it, and if you can take advantage, then you're in. You're in. Madison says, had a peaceful birthday yesterday. Today, celebrating Memorial Day and honoring those that died so you and I can be free. God bless America. Madison, God bless America. And happy belated birthday, my friend. Happy birthday. Madison Duncan. What a legend. Sean Wells, would you keep Braswell in the lineup as a DH? I would. That is a great question, Sean, as well, because you think about you're going to move Braylon Wimmer to short. What do you do with Brazzy? Got to figure that out. But I would keep Brazzy involved in the lineup, Sean, in some way. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
Call from
Justin.
Justin, what is up, my friend? How are you?
Good, Chris. Happy Memorial Day to you.
Happy Memorial Day to you as well, my friend. Thank you so much, and hope you had a fantastic weekend. What's going on?
Yeah, hey Chris. I kind of got shocked. I was supposed to Weezer. We thought we were done for a minute here.
I'll be honest with you, man. I was hopeful. I thought South Carolina, because what they had done in SEC play, I thought they deserved to host, but I was expecting the worst and just hoping for the best. When we kept seeing projections that the Gamecocks would go on the road and Sure enough, here we are, man. Postseason baseball at Founders. And I mean, listen, anytime, I'll say this. What's happened in the regular season's happened. Anytime Gamecock baseball gets postseason baseball on their home field as a host, you like your chances. You like your chances. So I'm excited, man. I'm pumped. I cannot wait to watch it, and it's going to be a really fun weekend.
Yeah, me too, Chris. I'm glad we kind of hosted now. Now we got Chris. All these teams though. Well, we got two teams for the Southeast and the other one in the Northeast, right, Chris?
Yes, NC State and Campbell out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and then a Central Connecticut State, my friend. So looking forward to that.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna try to. I don't know if there's a Central Connecticut State podcast out there or what the deal is, but I'm gonna try to find one.
Yeah, Chris, it's gotta be in Northeast somewhere, right, Chris? I thought it got a podcast somewhere, right, Chris?
I mean, you would think somebody would talk Central Connecticut State baseball. I could be totally wrong, but maybe there's somebody out there. Heck, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, hope I find it. Hope you find it too, you know, Chris.
Say it again.
Hey, Chris, I hope we find them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna beat them, my guy. I do. I think so. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So they actually won 3 straight games coming out of the losers bracket to win the Northeast Conference. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's Chris. Hey, Chris, how is Cincinnati?
Cincinnati was cool, man. Like I said, went and saw some family in Ohio. So yeah, it was a good time, man. It was a really good time.
Wow, you got family, huh, Chris?
We did stay in Ohio, my friend. We did stay in Ohio.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Hey, Chris, before I got here, man, I got to tell you about the football schedule. Hey, Chris, guess who I want to see Sockeye play one day? You know who I want to see Sockeye play?
Who's that?
I want to see them play Southern Cal, Carolina, and Hawaii, and Arizona. I think we need to start scheduling these West Coast teams. What do you think, Chris?
Hawaii would be an incredible road trip. I'm down. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Chris, because we haven't played Hawaii a long time, you know.
Yeah. Have we ever played them? I don't even know if we've ever played them.
I think we did back in the 70s.
Really? Let's see. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Hawaii is 2-0 against South Carolina. Let's see. The 2 games took place 1977. Hawaii won 24-7. And in 1981, They won 33-10. And both of these games were in Hawaii.
Wow.
Jim Carlin was the head coach of both of those teams. So, how about that?
Wow.
How about that?
That's awesome. That's awesome, Chris. Hey, Chris,
The more you know.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Say it again?
Yeah, Chris, I think we need to get Hawaii back at SoPo, right, Chris?
We need payback. We need payback on Hawaii for what they did to us back in the late 70s, early 80s. I didn't even know that. So yeah, let's get our payback. Why not?
Yeah. And Chris, hopefully somebody schedules Hawaii like home hosters to make sure we can probably get payback. You know.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Hey Chris, I like to see soccer get payback. Hey Chris, who you want to see we get payback one day?
Who do I want to see us get payback on? I'd like to see us get payback on Florida this year. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Me too, Chris. Hey, Chris, I like to get payback against Missouri, too.
Yeah. No, hey, definitely Mizzou. God, I should have said Mizzou. Definitely Mizzou. We owe them one and then some.
Oh, yeah. And Chris, we got to get Georgia, too, you know.
Hey, we got a lot of them we got to get, my guy. We got a lot of them we got to get.
Yep. And Chris, we got to get Notre Dame back, too. We got to schedule, too, at SoPo.
Notre Dame. Yep. Notre Dame's another one. You are absolutely right, my friend.
Yeah, because Chris, we're not going to schedule all the teams, right, Chris?
No, we won't schedule them all. We got to pick and choose our battles.
Yeah, because we got to choose the whole. And we got to play Colorado, too. That'd be our first matchup with them, huh, Chris?
Yeah, it would. It would indeed. So, We'll see,
Maybe
man.
get Deion Sanders back too. I think
Yeah, get Deion back.
Remember?
Yeah, get them all back. Like I said, we got a lot of people that we owe a butt whooping to.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Hey, Chris, that Deion Sanders is something, boy. Huh?
He's something, yeah. I'm curious to see how he does at Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris. Well, that's all I said, man.
Hey, Justin, I appreciate the call, man. Always a pleasure to chat with you.
You too. Take care. Go Gamecocks.
Yes, sir. Take care. Go Gamecocks, Justin. I appreciate you. Great stuff from Justin, guys. That being said, we are going to jump into a quick break. On the other side, I want to continue to hear from you, more of your questions, your comments, your calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecock seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood Subscription Box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Marshall Dougie, ho.
Excuse me, guys. All right, we're back. Hey, that's what happens. Ate a snack over the break, and I come back and almost choke. So, anyways, we are back taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. Much better. I don't know what just happened there. Either way, 843-790-3377. I think the ghost of Will Muschamp just struck me down as I was trying to talk to you guys. Madison Duncan, there are no new updates on the summer tour. I will keep you updated on dates, Madison. I would assume, though, end of July and all throughout the month of August is when we will rock with that. So, end of July, all throughout August. David Barnes says, what opposing players had given the USC the most nightmares? Mine is between Tim Tebow and Darren McFadden. I'll tell you this, David, that sounds like a show topic. So I'm going to save my answers on it, but there's definitely a couple that come to mind. Tim Tebow, I mean, he terrorized everybody. Darren McFadden, what he did to Carolina, good God, man. Goodness gracious. So I think, David, honestly, like we're upon the offseason for sure for football. That might be a show topic, David, for tomorrow. So thank you for the inspiration, David. And guys, be sure to always leave your questions, everything, because you have no idea how much you guys inspire what we talk about on this show. You have no idea. So you have no idea. I draw a lot of inspiration from you all. And again, I want to say thank you all so much for the continued love and support. And, without you guys, TSUS would not be what it is, what it's becoming. I'm truly grateful and appreciative of each and every single one of you. Again, with that being said, we're continuing on taking your questions, comments, calls. 843-790-3377. And, of course, guys, we are live until 3:30. We're not closing it up at 3. We're live till 3:30. So I do want to hear from you all. Hope you are having a fantastic time enjoying your Memorial Day, however you are choosing to do so. And make sure you are staying safe. Things can most certainly get crazy on Memorial Day. Travis says, Shiloh going to play for his dad now. Yeah, I did see that. And I was not surprised in the slightest. Not surprised in the slightest, my friend. So, Landon White, what has to happen for us to host a Super Regional? South Carolina has to win their regional, and Florida has to get bounced. So if Florida wins their regional, it won't matter. Carolina will be heading to Gainesville. But we've seen the Gators be susceptible before to losing in a regional round, so you never know. It certainly could happen. Let's see. Landon says, feel like Kingston should be fired if we don't go to Omaha. As I mentioned to you guys, I'm going to let all the dust settle before I say anything about fire the coach, what this, that, whatever. And that's really the biggest reason, Landon. That's the biggest reason, because if I had said, there are plenty of times where it would have made sense to say fire Mark Kingston, where it felt like it would have made sense. But if this team does something crazy, goes to Omaha, everybody who said fire Mark Kingston, it's like, I mean, dude, he's back. He's back. You can't fire a coach that goes to Omaha, right? Joseph, yeah, if Texas Tech beats Florida and Carolina wins their regional, we will be hosting Super Regional Baseball at Founders Park. You are correct. Let's see. Let's see. Brandon says, we need Sanders and Messina back healthy. No doubt. And it sounds like they will be healthy. Justin said we're going to have to go with a Tampa Bay Rays style bullpen game to advance, unfortunately, because we don't really have the starting pitching depth right now. I mean, that'll certainly, guys, be one of the biggest storylines and one of the question marks is who do the Gamecocks start in game one? I do agree with Dalton that you feel like, and you hate to, I hate to knock the competition because this is the postseason. Like, everybody in the postseason is good. So I hate to knock the competition and say, well, we can just start, whoever. We don't have to start our best. We can go with our third or fourth guy or what have you. Like, we don't need to start our best arm, right? I think that's a good way to get beat. I really do. That's a good way to get beat, taking your opponent lightly like that. So, I would say I think Eli Jones gets the baseball. If I had to guess, I think Eli Jones will get the baseball on Friday. I do. Let's see. Travi says, let's just focus on the regional and save the fire talk, no doubt. Andrew the Textbook, anybody shocked today when they saw Tulane's record? Yeah, it's because, listen, Andrew the Textbook, it's because Tulane won their conference tournament. That's why they are hosting, or excuse me, not hosting. That's why they're in the postseason. So, you know, that is why, as crazy as it sounds, and you know, as crazy as it seems or it looks, if you will. So, again, guys, 843-790-3377. That is 843-790-3377. Andrew the Texas said, I'm not worried with game one. I may save my ace for game two when we may face Campbell. Okay, so Andrew the Textbook says he would save his ace for that game, that potential game, I should say, against the Camels. Okay. Andrew the Textbook, the good thing is the Campbell-NC State game's right before ours, so we'll know who we'll play as soon. Squeeze title of the streaming service where they will stream every game. I mean, every game will be on Squeeze Play. So, yeah. Travis says our team might benefit from not going up against SEC arms. Let's remain positive and get behind the boys. Travis, I think a lot of Gamecock fans are positive going in the weekend. I think even with, and I could be wrong, but I think that even with the struggles down the stretch, I think most people still look at it as, okay, we know what this team's capable of. If they get healthy and being at home, there's a good chance that this team could make a run. Now, you're going to have your pessimistic people who checked out on the season a couple of weeks ago, but whatever. Who cares? Who cares? I think most are still pretty damn optimistic because, again, guys, like I said, as much as Win Anyway is a part of Carolina baseball, as much as the Garnet and Black and Founders Park is, like, winning in the postseason is ingrained in the culture of South Carolina baseball. There is a different level of confidence, right? Now the season begins. What you did at this point is nice, but it really doesn't matter anymore. And a new season begins right now. And if you're a Gamecock baseball player, coach, fan, what have you, you have that confidence and you know this is when we turn it on. This is exactly where we want to be. We are hosting postseason baseball at Founders Park. We are 0-0, and that is a position that we love to be in because guess what? We've been here before. We've won national championships. We've done it. We've done it, and we've done it at a damn high level. So I think if you're the Gamecocks, you're moving into this weekend with extreme confidence. Are there still question marks to be answered? Absolutely. That goes for every team in college baseball, but I think you love the position you're in right now. I think you've got a very manageable regional. Campbell's obviously going to be the big storyline. Should they have hosted? Should they not? NC State's a sneaky good team out of the ACC, finished below 500 in conference play, but they've got a quality club. And then Central Connecticut State as the 4 seed who you'll play to open it up. You know, could they make some noise? Unlikely. I doubt it, but you never know, right? This is the field of 64. This is the road to Omaha. But all in all, I think you feel confident. I think you feel confident if you're a fan of the Gamecocks. You feel confident if you're a fan of South Carolina baseball that a run could begin starting this weekend at Founders. So, I move into it with confidence, man. I really do. I really do. Let's see. Andrew, the textbook says South Carolina has never lost a regional as a 1 seed in that regional. That gives me confidence heading into the weekend. Really? Andrew, the textbook, where did you see this statistic? I'm not doubting you. But I am curious, where did you see this? Did somebody else tweet this? Did somebody else post this? Where is this coming from? Because that is really interesting. I did not know that. And again, I'm not questioning you saying you're wrong. I guess I hadn't really stopped to think about it. I had not stopped to think about it. So that is very much a fun fact. That is very much a fun fact. Let's see. I tell you what, Clemson fans are pissed on Twitter. Which is so weird. Like it's Memorial Day, man. You're a top 8 national seed. What do you have to be upset about? Let's see. Andrew, the textbook says, do you remember a few years ago where we lost as a 2 seed in regional a few years ago versus Virginia? People were saying that then that was the first time we lost a regional as a host. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Andrew, the textbook saying that's where he got the stat from. Madison Duncan admitting, does each winning bracket have a different name? Just so you know, I just tuned into baseball. This is my first year or season watching and learning. Madison Duncan, I know the question you're asking. No, it is not like March Madness where you have like a Southeast region and a Northwest, or no, it is not that it is not that way. It is not that way. It is not constructed that way. I get what you're saying, but it is not constructed that way. So let's see. Anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Really exciting stuff today as we now know the Gamecocks postseason destination. And postseason who will be in the regional, I should say, more than anything. So the field of 64 has been unveiled. All gets going this weekend, and excited and looking forward to a lot of fun with the postseason in college baseball is incredible, man. You never know. You never know. Looks like the NCBWA dropped a final top 25. South Carolina, 16th in their top 25. There you go. How about it? South Carolina moved up from 19th to 16th. Who would have thought? Let's see. Anyways, guys, what a day. What a day, honestly. I'm getting honestly caught up and lost in social media and just the pure. It is so easy to get people riled up, man, and get them going. I mean, it is so easy. It is so easy. It is so easy. All right, let's see. Let's get back into your questions here. I think we had a bunch of questions I missed. Coastal Carolina hosting as well, man. Coastal Carolina hosting as well. Crazy. A lot of great baseball played in the state of South Carolina. A lot of great baseball played. So, highest scoring team in the nation is Campbell. Auburn, a 13 seed indeed. Brandon, you are correct. Alex Heil, what's going on? Appreciate you. Appreciate it, my friend. John ever pointed out that UNC Carolina now a pick'em. Yep, that coming via Vegas Insider. Vegas Insider. You are correct, sir. You are correct. A pick'em out in Vegas. South Carolina, Central Connecticut State, NC State, and Campbell in the regional. How about that? Guys, really quick reminder, just in case you missed it. This week, we're back to a normal schedule, by the way. We'll close this thing out at 3:30, noon to 3 the rest of the week. So that means on Friday, we will be live while NC State are playing each other. So we'll have updates. My guy Jake Crane going to join the show at 1:15, his first appearance, and he'll jump on every single Friday with us. They're going to be a lot of fun, but yeah, going to be a good time. And as we get ready for a big weekend for the Yardcocks and for college baseball as a whole, will you guys be filling out a bracket? I'm going to fill out a bracket, and I will probably let you guys know what that bracket says. Later this week. I just got a DM too. I really hope the games are on something other than ESPN Plus. Well, guys, here's the good news. They are on something other than ESPN Plus. They're on the Big Cock Club. Why not jump in, join us, watch the games along with yours truly. Patreon.com/Big Cock Club, or click the link in bio. It's where you can get access. Click the link in bio on our social media. Click Big Cock Club, guys. You can join today. You can also get 20% off merchandise when you join, right? And again, instead of paying $9.99 a month to ESPN Plus, it might have actually gone up, by the way. Almost positive ESPN Plus went up. Let's see. How much is ESPN Plus? Is it still $9.99 or is it like $12.99? Yeah, $12.99. So, and I think maybe that's just the Disney bundle. I don't know. Okay, subscribe to ESPN Plus only. How much is ESPN Plus? Either way, it's like $9.99. Maybe it's cheaper. I don't know. Maybe it's cheaper. But they want, yeah. So ESPN Plus is $9.99 a month. The bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu is $12.99 a month. So you can join the Big Cock Club today, $9.99, and get access to the Discord, 20% off merch, and watch the games along with us. And Andrew, the textbook correct, says, credit my stat. Upon takeaway, Peter, South Carolina has only lost as a 1 seed in a regional. They lost their own regional in 2014 against Maryland in Chad Holbrook's second year. That is a good point. I'm glad you bring that up. Andrew, I should have known that. Andrew, the textbook, I should have known that because I recall that definitely did happen. And that was a big knock against Coach Holbrook. So appreciate you looking that up, my friend. Appreciate you looking that up. Always keeping the facts straight, Madison, indeed. Always keeping the facts straight. Guys, that being said, we're going to jump into one final break before we close out the show. But on the other side, guys, I want to continue to hear from you. More of your questions, comments, calls, and more. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. Attention all Gamecock seafood lovers. Are you tired of searching for the freshest seafood in town? Look no further than the Carolina Fish Market, your go-to destination for the finest and most flavorful seafood in the Carolinas and beyond. Introducing the new Carolina Seafood Subscription Box, a culinary delight delivered right to your doorstep. Each month, you'll receive a carefully curated selection of fresh local seafood sourced directly from the waters of the Carolinas and beyond. From succulent shrimp to mouth-watering grouper to flounder or tuna and everything in between, their subscription box brings the ocean's bounty straight to your Gamecock kitchen. What sets the Carolina Fish Market apart is their commitment to quality and sustainability. They work closely with local fishermen and women who use responsible fishing practices, ensuring that every bite you take supports both your taste buds and our precious marine ecosystems. They've even won Best Seafood 5 out of the last 8 years. But that's not all. They're offering free shipping to all TSUS listeners on every Carolina Seafood subscription box, making it even easier for you to indulge in the flavors of the coast. Experience the convenience and joy of having fresh seafood delivered right to your door without any of the hassle. Don't miss on this incredible opportunity to elevate your culinary adventures with the Carolina Fish Market's Carolina Seafood subscription box. Join the seafood enthusiasts across the nation who are savoring the taste of the Carolinas, one delectable bite at a time, and just in time for Father's Day. Visit their website today at carolinafishmarket.com. That's carolinafishmarket.com, and embark on a seafood journey like no other. Freshness, flavor, and convenience await you. Order your Carolina Seafood subscription box now and use the promo code SPURSUP, that's SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code SPURSUP, SPURSUP, for $10 off your first purchase. The Carolina Fish Market, where taste meets the ocean.
Muscle Dougie, ho.
All right, guys, we're back. Taking your questions, comments, calls, 843-790-3377. As we close out today's show here on this Monday, May the 29th, 2023, Memorial Day weekend and Memorial Day itself. Again, thank you so much to those who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy all of our freedoms. Be sure to keep in mind the reason for Memorial Day today. Again, guys, as we close out the show, just 15 minutes remaining. TDC rocking and rolling as normal this week, noon to 3. I know today we had a 30-minute delay for the Field of 64 show, if you will, that let us know who the Gamecocks will be playing in their regional. But the rest of the week, we'll be live noon to 3. And, of course, be sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and click the bell icon so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content. Also, be sure you're subscribed to the Spurs Up Show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, because, of course, every single day at 5 p.m. Eastern, we are dropping podcast content from this show and more. So, anyways, a lot of exciting stuff happening. Guys, thank you all so much. We're a little bit over, I guess we're exactly 2 weeks into our new production and distribution, the way that we are doing things in regards to the podcast, and we are seeing massive success. I mean, the results were up 100% over the last 2 weeks in downloads, and I cannot say thank you guys enough for that love and support. On3 Recruits just tweeted, teams with the highest percentage of blue chip commitment so far in the 2024 recruiting cycle. South Carolina sits at 89%. When, guys, you think about the history of Carolina football and recruiting, those are numbers like we've never seen. I mean, those are truly numbers like we have never seen. So Shane Beamer and company are doing absolute work on the recruiting trail. And while it's not a surprise, at least to me, it's not a surprise, it is really, really, really cool to see. It is really, really cool to see. So, anyways, guys, we got anything going once, going twice, going 3 times, going once, going twice, going 3 times? Anything in particular? I know you guys are chilling out on Memorial Day, hanging out, having a good time. But like I mentioned, the numbers, man, the numbers are crazy. The numbers are crazy. Over the last 2 weeks in regards to the podcast loads. So, let's see. All of the baseball will be streamed in the Big Cock Club Discord, patreon.com/Big Cock Club. That's patreon.com/Big Cock Club. Click the link in bio also to get access. Madison Nuggets said, I did see the new shirts in the Discord. Well, those are, Madison, please do not share those. Our friends over at Home Field Apparel are dropping new shirts. They got a brand new South Carolina release that is coming out, I believe this weekend. Saturday is when it's happening. So really, really cool stuff. Working with those guys over at Home Field Apparel yet again to promote their new merch. And they're sending us some stuff as well. So really, really excited for that. And yeah, I think you guys will really, really enjoy it. Guys, that being said, I know everybody's out on Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day, celebrating, enjoying yourself. Let's end this thing 10 minutes early. We'll end it 10 minutes early. That's my Memorial Day vacation, if you will. We're going to go ahead and end this thing now. Again, appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, guys. Go enjoy your Memorial Day. Really excited for the baseball this weekend. We're going to break it all down all week long. Going to be a lot of fun. TDC airing noon to 3 all week. Check out the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and stay tuned to all of the content on social media and everywhere else. Content bleeding out of the eyeballs this week, as I'm sure you can all imagine. Again, guys, thank you all so much. Hey, enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day. Enjoy the day off if you have it. And we'll see you back here tomorrow, rocking and rolling as we dive into everything and getting you ready for the weekend that is with South Carolina baseball and everything else that's going on as well. Guys, again, thank you all so much. Appreciate you all tuning in. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.